Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're continuing our journey into Eugene McMillan's autobiography, Vagabond on Victory Road.
That's right. And today, we're jumping into the fourth installment, looking closely at Chapter 4.
This one's called Hitchhiking Adventures. We're basically stepping onto the road with Eugene as he leaves home. It's quite a moment.
It really is. And just to be clear, our source today is solely this chapter. We're sticking just to what Eugene tells us here.
Okay, so our mission then is to really unpack what this experience was like, setting out during the Depression, the challenges, the surprises.
The moments of faith, absolutely. And the people he meets along the way. It's all in this chapter.
We're really excited to explore this next phase of his story with you. So let's get right into it. What's going on with Eugene right before he makes this big decision?
Well, it's late fall 1937. The Depression, it's hit his factory job pretty hard. He's down to only working 3 days a week.
That can't be easy.
No, not at all. And it's more than just the money. He describes this feeling of real dissatisfaction, restlessness. He just knows something has to change.
The feeling of being stuck, yeah. And his solution seems almost incredibly simple on the surface.
It really does. He just thinks, why not go somewhere else and look for a job? That's basically it.
No big plan about where or what kind of job then.
Not really, no. He says that was all secondary. The main thing was, and this is his phrase, to get going, just break out of that rut.
It feels very impulsive, driven by that need to move.
Exactly. Necessity and maybe a bit of a youthful impulse mixed together.
And his packing reflects that simplicity, right?
Yeah.
What does he actually take?
Just a few personal effects, he says. Very little. But there's one item he specifically mentions.
Let me guess. His testament.
You got it. His prized testament. He notes he hadn't looked at it much for a while, but he gets it out for this trip. It feels significant.
Like he knows he might need it. So he says his goodbyes, starts out literally by foot, just walking.
Yep. Walking away from home with the plan to hitchhike. Taking that first step into, well, the complete unknown.
And he quickly learns about the reality of hitchhiking.
Oh, yeah. He calls it a slow, weary way to travel at times. No illusions about it being easy.
He does mention the alternative, though. Hopping freight trains.
Right, which a lot of people did then. But he sees it clearly faster, yes, but much more dangerous.
So he decides that's only going to be a last resort. Probably a wise move.
Definitely seems like it. So he starts off in North Carolina, just heading generally west. That's the initial direction.
Yes, okay. But these kinds of journeys, they rarely go exactly as planned, do they?
Not this one, anyway. The first big detour happens when he gets to Knoxville, Tennessee. He gets a ride.
And this ride changes everything.
Completely. He meets a guy named Cookie Schultz. And Cookie isn't just going a town or two over.
Where's he headed?
All the way to Los Angeles, California. He's a chef going out there for work and also to see his daughter.
Wow, L.A. But Eugene's plan was Freeport, Louisiana, right? To see a friend, look for work there.
Exactly. Shreveport was the goal. But suddenly, here's this chance to go clear across the country to California. It must have seemed incredibly, well, adventurous.
So he asks Cookie.
He does. Asks if he can tag along, and Cookie says yes. Just like that, Shreveport's on the back burner, and Eugene's heading west for real.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Talk about a spontaneous decision shaping the journey.
It really shows how unpredictable things were, so off they go.
In Cookie's car. What was it?
An old 31 Chevrolet Coupe, a classic image right there.
And this isn't a short trip, 4 days and 4 nights.
Yeah, a long haul in that old car. Eugene says the trip itself was quite uneventful, meaning no major drama, I suppose.
But not boring.
No, far from monotonous, he says. Because of the scenery constantly changing plains, prairies, mountains, he really gets a sense of the country's scale.
And he has that moment of patriotic feeling, looking at the landscape.
He does. He quotes from America, sweet land of liberty. Even amidst his own struggles, he's struck by the country's beauty, which is interesting.
It is. But the personal struggles were definitely there. The sleeping situation, for instance.
Right. Big difference there. Cookie stays in hotels.
And Eugene
sleeps in the car. And it was cold. He specifically mentions being too cold after midnight.
That sounds miserable.
He talks about long, lonely hours, shivering, thinking, and praying. You really feel that physical discomfort, but also how he turns to his faith in those moments.
And his diet. It sounds incredibly strict.
Oh, absolutely. To save money, his simple fare was mostly just a 5-cent bottle of milk and part of a loaf of bread for almost the whole trip.
Just trying to stretch every single penny he had?
Every last one. That kind of discipline is hard to imagine.
As they get further west, the landscape changes again. They hit the deserts. starting near Gallup, New Mexico.
That's right. And this is where we get a really fascinating contrast in perception,
Yeah.
how two people can see the exact same thing so differently.
Cookie's view of the Painted Desert.
Yeah, Cookie basically sees it as awful, a country that God has surely forsaken. He describes it as dead, bleak and dry, totally lifeless, just desolation.
But Eugene, he sees something else entirely.
Totally. He gets to a ridge, looks out, and calls it a breathtaking view. He sees the desolation, sure, the stillness, but also the vividly colored sand, rocks, and hills.
So same landscape, different interpretation.
Completely. Eugene feels this peculiar beauty. He insists it's not God-forsaken. Instead, he sees the marks of the master's artistic touch.
It's not empty for him. It's like God's painting.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just appreciating the view. It becomes a spiritual experience for him.
He feels God's presence there.
Very strongly. He says he felt the nearness of my Heavenly Father and had this urge to just run out into the desert and praise God.
Wow. So this supposedly bleak place becomes a site of real religious connection for him.
It totally reframes it. They also drive through the Mojave, experience a sandstorm. The landscape remains a powerful character in the story.
And then finally, after 4 days and nights, Los Angeles.
Yep, they arrive near midnight. Time for Eugene and Cookie to part ways.
They say their goodbyes. Eugene thanks him,
Very gratefully, you imagine, and Cookie drives off.
leaving Eugene completely alone on a dark street corner somewhere in L.A. How did that feel?
He puts it plainly, what a lonely feeling. Sudden solitude after days of travel companionship.
And he's practically broke.
Dead broke. He counts it out. 89 cents was all the money I had.
89 cents after days of just milk and bread? He must have
Yeah.
been starving.
And hungry, yeah. But it's midnight, nothing's open, no money for a room. He's really up against it.
So what does he do? What can he do?
He falls back on his faith, tells himself the Lord would provide, and then, well, something quite amazing happens according to his account.
This is the sandwich story.
This is the sandwich story. Is stumbling around in the dark, finds a package. Smells good.
And inside,
Fully a dozen sandwiches made with different kinds of meat, just sitting there.
that is remarkable. Talk about provision.
He sees it exactly that way, a direct answer. He thanks God and eats until he's full. It's like something out of a parable almost.
Finding food like that at that precise moment,
Yeah.
it's definitely a standout detail. Okay, so food is sorted, but what about shelter?
Still no money for that. He finds a small, all-night corner drugstore, and he basically just stands just inside the door most of the night to keep warm.
Not exactly restful.
No, he says he only dozed a few times, still dealing with that physical hardship.
And his overall impression of LA after all that, not great, it seems.
Not great at all. He calls it distasteful. He sees it as a city focused on worldly pleasures. It just doesn't sit right with him.
So he doesn't stay long.
Nope, only one day in LA. Then he decides to head south, down the coast, still hoping for work.
Any luck finding a job?
No, he keeps hearing the same thing. Wrong time of the year. The opportunities just aren't there.
So this leads to another big decision down in San Diego.
It does. He decides the West Coast isn't working out. Time to change course again. He's gonna head east again.
Back towards where he originally intended, maybe? Like Shreveport is back on the map?
Possibly. The California adventure is over. He's turning back. But hitchhiking out of that area proves difficult.
He says it becomes a waiting game, which tried my patience.
Rides are scarce, and this slow, frustrating wait sets up the next major event, what he calls his desert test.
Okay, where does this happen?
He's less than 100 miles east of San Diego, on the edge of semi-desert country, waiting under a tree. It's hot.
And someone finally stops.
Yeah, a congenial fellow, Eugene calls him. Gives him a ride. They start talking. Eugene explains where he's from, North Carolina, and where he's trying to get to back east, Shreveport.
Okay, sounds promising.
But then the driver realizes he's lost. He was looking for a turnoff to a ranch, thinks he missed it, and decides he needs to turn around and go back about 8 miles.
Oh no. Backtracking 8 miles.
Yeah.
It's like the cardinal sin for a hitchhiker.
Exactly. Eugene thinks retreating is unthinkable. It feels completely wrong after waiting so long to go east.
So what does he do? Stay in the car and lose ground.
He makes another tough call. He refuses to go back. He thanks the driver for the ride so far and asks to be let out. Right there.
He chooses to get out
Eh.
in the middle of nowhere.
Yes. Standing in the heat of a midday sun, he describes the vastness, the dryness, the haunting silence. Just him and the desert.
Wow. He must be hungry too, still rationing that bread.
He is. He decides to eat some of the bread he bought earlier, and then it hits him. The sudden, awful realization.
What is it?
I had no water. In the desert heat, midday sun. This is serious. Really
Ah,
serious.
goodness, that's terrifying. How long could he be stuck there? Where would he get water?
All those disturbing questions flood his mind. There are no easy answers out there. Panic starts to set in.
How does he handle that fear? What does he do?
He tries to calm himself down. And again, he turns to his Testament, starts reading.
Find some comfort there.
It seems so. And then there's this really interesting detail with a lizard. He sees one nearby looking at him, and he kind of projects onto it, imagining it telling him, "Buddy, stop your worrying. God is taking care of us. He will take care of you too."
That's quite a moment. Like finding a message in nature, even in a lizard.
Whether it was real or imagined, he says his mind indeed rested easier after that. It gave him a bit of peace.
Enough peace to eat the bread, even without water.
Apparently so. His stomach was demanding it. He thanks God for the bread and eats the whole loaf.
But he still needs a ride. How long does he wait there?
A long time, almost 3 hours pass. The sun's starting to get lower, and crucially, not one car had been seen.
3 hours, no cars, no water. This is getting desperate.
It really is. The hunger is replaced by intense thirst. His mouth feels like cotton, saliva to suds. Hope starts turning into little demons of fear.
You must feel completely abandoned.
He reaches a point where he cries out, "Oh Lord, if I ever needed you, it is now." A real moment of desperation.
He's just sitting there, under the thin shade of a tree, reading, watching the empty road,
Yeah.
willing to go anywhere at this point.
Anywhere, any direction. And then finally, he sees something.
A car.
A speck shimmered crazily in the heat haze. Far off, but it's definitely a car. Excitement surges. He watches it get closer, hears the engine. This has to be it.
He's ready to flag it down.
Positions himself, lifts his arm, heart pounding, but the car doesn't slow down.
Oh, no.
It just whizzes past him, gone.
That must have been absolutely soul-crushing.
He describes his heart sinking, hope just flying away, feeling like a forlorn, drooped creature, just devastated. But
Something happens.
the impossible happens. The car, maybe a quarter mile down the road now, screeches to a halt.
Yeah.
Loudly.
It stopped.
It stopped. And then it starts backing up to meet me.
Backing up. Wow, that's unbelievable.
Eugene can hardly believe it. He feels bounding joy, just runs towards the reversing car with immense gratitude.
What did the driver say? Why did he stop after passing him?
The driver explains he was actually almost asleep at the wheel. He sort of jolted awake, saw Eugene in the rearview mirror, and stopped. He even says it was good for both of them that he woke up then.
Talk about a close call for both of them. Eugene must have been incredibly relieved.
Overwhelmed with relief. He tells the driver how thankful he is, how panicked he was when the car flew by. Suddenly, things were rosier now. Even the desert looks beautiful again.
But the thirst, that wouldn't go away instantly.
No, that physical trial continues. His mouth is still like cotton, saliva like flaky suds. He says it was a laborious task to speak. But there's hope now. The next town is less than 30 minutes away.
Does the driver talk much?
Not at first. He's still sleepy. In fact, he nods off again and runs off the road.
What? Seriously?
Seriously. Eugene says it scared me so much it was several minutes before my pulse was beating again at the normal rate. Understandable.
I'll bet. Did that wake the driver up properly?
It seems to. They start talking more after that little incident.
And this conversation takes an interesting turn, doesn't it? It becomes about faith.
It does. Eugene starts talking about his own faith, and then he asks the driver straight up if he's a Christian.
How does the driver respond to that?
Pretty bluntly. Eugene says he replied deliberately and rather coldly, "Son, your God is not my God."
Wow, okay. A clear rejection.
Very clear. So Eugene follows up, asks, "Who or what, then, is your God?" And he states his own belief in the God of the Bible.
And the driver explains his perspective.
Yeah, he reveals this very materialistic viewpoint. He says he only believes in things you can see, feel, and enjoy.
Like what?
He actually points out the window to the mountains, the rocks, the trees, the sky, the sun, and says, "Well, there is my God." Proudly, emphatically.
So nature itself is his God. How does Eugene react to that?
He challenges it directly.
Yeah.
He asks, "Sir, why are you worshiping an inferior God?"
Ooh, bold move.
Very bold. He continues, "My God is the God of your God. For my God made the things you have pointed out as being your God."
That's quite a counterargument. Putting God as the creator above the creation the driver worships.
Exactly. And according to Eugene, the driver had no answer. He seemed somewhat deflated. Eugene felt God gave him the right words for that moment.
It's a fascinating clash of worldviews
Yeah.
happening right there in the car after this dramatic rescue.
It really is. It shows Eugene's willingness to engage on that level, even then.
So they finally make it to the next town.
Yes, El Centro, California. That's as far as the driver's going. Eugene thanks him again for the timely lift, and they part ways.
And now, for Eugene, there's only one thing that matters.
Water, absolutely. His thirst is overwhelming.
El Centro is a decent-sized town, he notes.
Surprisingly large, yeah. But he doesn't waste any time sightseeing. He heads straight for a drugstore. His mouth is still in bad shape. Fluffy tongue and mouth, he says.
He tries to ask for water.
Yeah, he struggles to get the words out clearly. Something like, "Buddy, give me a glass of water, please."
And the person behind the counter.
A young man scans him up and down a bit, but gives him the glass of water. Eugene drinks it down in swift and greedy gulps.
Just pours it down. Does he ask for more?
He does, a second glass, which he asks for with greater ease of the tongue now, and drinks that too.
But he still needs more.
Apparently so. He feels ashamed to ask for a third glass there, so he leaves and hurries down the street to another drugstore.
Then asks again.
Asks again. "Mister, give me a glass of water, please." Gets it, drinks it.
He must have been incredibly dehydrated.
Critically dehydrated. He ends up visiting the 2 other remaining drugstores in town and repeating the process at each one.
Wow. 4 drugstores just for water.
He admits he was somewhat abashed, a bit embarrassed, but the need was just too great. He describes the results as refreshing, reviving. You really feel the intensity of that thirst and the profound relief of finally quenching it.
What a chapter. It really covers so much ground, doesn't it? From just deciding to leave home.
To suddenly being swept across the country, facing extreme cold, hunger, loneliness.
And then that incredibly intense trial in the desert. Thirst, despair, rescue, debate.
It really underscores the theme of resilience, but also how much Eugene relies on his faith. It's not just a comfort. It actively shapes how he sees things, the desert's beauty, the sandwiches, the argument in the car.
And those moments of unexpected. Help cookies ride, the sandwiches, the driver stopping. Eventually they feel pivotal. Like grace appearing in the midst of hardship.
He certainly interprets them that way, and the chapter really throws those contrasting perspectives into sharp relief, you know? Cookie versus Eugene on the desert, the driver's materialism versus Eugene's faith. It makes you think about how much our outlook shapes our experience.
Yeah, it really does. It makes you wonder, when things fall apart for us, when plans go wrong and we feel completely exposed, what do we actually rely on? What gets us through?
For Eugene, the answer presented here is clearly his faith and his testament. These seem to be his anchors.
So this deep dive covered his departure, the trip to LA, turning back, the desert ordeal, and landing, finally, thankfully, in El Centro with access to water.
It's a huge chunk of his early journey, full of drama and insight into his character and developing faith, all pulled directly from his narrative in Vagabond on Victory Road.
And the journey isn't over. He's in El Centro now, but he's still heading east. We'll have to see what happens next as we continue our deep dive into his story.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, stemming from Eugene's experience, how do we tell the difference between a place that just feels God-forsaken or empty to us, and a place where maybe our own faith, our own core beliefs are being tested and perhaps even revealed in a new way? What can those really desperate moments teach us about what we truly depend on when everything else seems stripped away?